Well, we are getting ready to start the next project. They've got as much work that they can do done on this chisel plow here now. They're getting ready to pull it out of here. And we've got a load of steel outside that just arrived. And they are here now from Klein. Jason's getting the first pick off of the trailer here now. We've got just a partial load here. Cross members and the main cells. We cut up what material we had here this morning. And how's it going? Yeah. So we've got that rectangular tubing, and then there's some sheet metal here that they're going to go ahead and grab as well for the floor. Car coming. So we'll go ahead and get this unloaded, and then we will join back up with you in a while here once we get laying this stuff out. This body's going to be a little longer, so what we have to do is we have to add on to the main cells, because this material here is 24 feet. And what we have inside here is a partial stack of cross members that we've already cut. So we had this material already here, and we cut it up already, and I need to get some sticks to put that steel on here. Well, he'll go ahead and set this here for now, and then we'll get it inside once they pull out with that chisel plow. But years ago, when I started buying steel from these guys, they didn't have covered trailers like this, and they brought the steel in, and they would have to put tarps over the top of the steel. When we had days that were bad, I tried to order steel when the roads weren't bad. But there was this big guy, Ed, that worked for Klein years ago. He could take a tarp beside the length of that trailer and put it up on his headache rack after he got it all folded up. He was a big dude. Well, we've got all of the material that we use for cross members cut. We've got more here than what we need for this next box that we're building. Now I've got to get more materials in here. All I basically have here is just what is going to make the flatbed. We've got the two main cells, and then we've got the two pieces that we're going to use on the rub rail. Now this material comes in 24-foot lengths. I think you can get it in 40s as well on this larger rectangular tubing, but we didn't want to handle 40s, and I had some material left over. So what we're going to do with these 24 footers, we're going to add on 2 foot on the front. Now you might be saying, well, why are you going to add on to them? Isn't that going to decrease the structural integrity? No, it's not, because we're up front. And although these are the main structural part of the body, and there's my phone, being that this is on a rail system, it's not going to be supporting all of the weight like it would be on a traditional body. And we're overkilling this anyways So we've got that front end cleaned up. We're gonna add on to the front. Adding on to the front is better than adding on to the back. Although if your tail hinge was ahead of the joint, you wouldn't be sacrificing anything anyways. So it all depends on where you have the splice. You would not want the splice in the center. You want it on the very front end or the very back end. And being that we're gonna be all tied together, we're gonna have the top rails gonna be supporting the box, the rub rail, the main sills, you've got the front, the cab shield, all that stuff is gonna be integrated into strengthening the whole box. It would be very uncommon to see any problem with what we're going to be doing here anyway. So we've got that end cleaned up. I've got a piece of 3x10 here on the bench. I've got to actually cut this down to size. We're about 1.25 inches or so too long on this, and we also need to add on to the rub rail. But we'll get the two sills added onto. We'll bring our jig in, get the cross members laid out. I already have the panel for the back end here, the junior channel. I already have that ready to go on. I also need to take and taper the back end of this because it's actually going to be about 1 inch too tall. So we'll slope the end of that tube so that it kind of incorporates itself into that junior channel. So we better get going here, huh? Yeah. Ain't falling asleep on me, are you? No? So she's got all the tubing cut here. We are at 96 inches. I even made up some arms for the tailgate there as well. So we've got a couple of them made up. We're actually waiting for steel to get here. They've brought the other chisel plow inside here. This is the 19 shank chisel. We've had this for 2 years, and we're going into the 3rd season here with it. And on the other chisel plow, I think we talked about it, but you know, we were replacing these bushings here, and this one isn't in as bad a shape as the other one. We ended up taking these spring pack assemblies to a machine shop. We had 3 of them, and they're going to go ahead and bore this out and put a steel bushing in there. And that's going to allow us to get a little more life out of these units here. We've got most of them on this one are in pretty good shape. However, we do have a couple of them that have gone past the, where are you at? This one over here, Sarge?
That's the worst one of them all.
That have gone past the bushing itself, and that's all egged out. Now, this actually pushes forward. Once you got this in the ground and this beam trips up in the air, it actually pushes forward. So it's working back and forth on that bushing all the while. And it is a crap design. I think I stated it in the last video when we went out to the farm show. We looked at the Landau chisel plows, and they're a 12 series and or a 32. This is a, I don't know what, 20, what is this, a 2132? Three meaning it's in 3 sections. The other one is a 2111, or this is a 2131. So now they have the second series out. They had, well, the 10, 11, and 12. I don't know how they're doing this series, but they have a series newer than this one now, and they don't have this plastic bushing in here or down below. And I had said to the rep that was at the Louisville Farm Show last week that is an update, and he didn't know what I was talking about. So evidently they don't use these chisel plows on the big farms. No, they don't use them. They're all no-till guys, you know. So, but being that we have to bury this manure, we have to run around with the chisels. Plus, you like the chisel plow anyways, right?
Yeah. Not as much as like it was just basically.
You like doing the potting or better? Yeah, faster. Faster. Yeah. Well, we better get to welding. Well, we've got our pieces that we are going to use to add on to these rectangle tubes all cut. And we've got this one here setting in place, and then we've clamped tubing to it so that we can get that straight. And now what she's doing is she's going through and tacking it together. And then once we get the tacks in the right spots, then we can take them clamps off of there and slowly weld it completely. We need to get a couple of tacks up on this top side. We'll roll the tube over and get some tacks down on the other side there, and then we can remove these clamps, weld it completely, and then we can do the same thing to the other one. Like I was saying earlier, we're going to need to lengthen the rub rail pieces as well. Now this box is going to be 26 foot long with a 5 foot cab shield, so we need to have a top rail that's just shy of 31 feet long. So we have to add on to the top rail as well, but we're not going to really have to worry about that right here at the moment. So once she gets this welded, we'll grab onto this pipe wrench here and we'll roll this over. Actually, we could just roll it up one time, and she can weld to that other side. All right, watch yourself there. Grab that so it doesn't go too far. Actually, hold the camera. You ready?
Oh, God.
Okay, now tack that there, and
like
then we can, yeah, a couple of spots, couple of pretty good spots. We want to make sure that stays straight, so we're ensuring that we're going to have structural integrity. See this here? Made in Canada. So we joked around in the last video when we put the sills on that last body that we made sure we put that up in the air so that as to not show anybody that, you know, we've got some Canadian made steel. Now I was joking, of course, about that, and it hit a few people at heart here, but these 3x4s, they were made in USA. The metal that is made in the States or in Canada is of same quality, excellent stuff. So we don't want to offend anybody north of the border. So look at that weld, vertical. You're not vertically challenged, are you? No. No? What position do you like to weld in better? Flat, vertical, overhead?
I think I like the vertical.
The vertical's a little better to draw on. It's a little easier because you're standing just about upright and whatever else like that. So now we can take the clamps off, and hopefully it doesn't go like this or like that. So same thing as before, we're adding on to the second one. Now with the cost of these materials being so expensive, we need not waste any of the scraps. So we're not going to tell anybody about this one, but we're adding all of our scrap pieces together to make one complete box here. So if you look down, step out of the way there for a second. If you look down this sill here, this one is 26 foot long. Originally 24 with a 2-foot add-on. So we don't throw anything away here. The last box was 22 foot. We had 2 foot left over, so it works out perfectly. Here we do a 22 and a 26. That's a 48 foot box. So she'll get this tacked together and weld it up completely like we did the other one, and no one is gonna know. We're not gonna tell anybody. Well, the work is continuing on this chisel plow here. They ended up taking all of the spring packs that are off are headed to the machine shop now, and we're gonna get those rebuilt. And they have gone ahead and redone all of the plastic bushings in the front of the trip beam, and then they've just chained up the ones that they have the springs removed on. Now, when we bought this chisel plow, it was a 17 shank, and we added on 2 shanks on each side. So this is the one we added on 2 years ago. And basically all it was is this bracket that bolted to this part of the frame. And then we went ahead and put a longer arbor shaft in so that we could run a couple more disc holters. I don't know if there was 2 or 4 that we added. We probably didn't even need to add that on there at all. And it ended up replacing this beam here too. We shouldn't have monkeyed around with it. We should have just left it, because we don't really use the disc holters anyways. So we have started the 26 foot bed. We're putting cross members down now. We've got the sills. We've added on to them. Now we're 26 foot long. And we went ahead and we drilled the holes for the bearings that are gonna go in the lock mechanism. And then we bored a hole, an oversized hole, in through the sill on each side. And then we sleeved it. And then we're gonna use 1¼ inch cold roll for the lock shaft. She's got this cross member that she's tacked in. We're gonna tack this one in, and then we'll move our clamps up to the front of the jig, put that other cross member there, and pull the jig forward so that we can get the proper gap that we need on the front end here. All right, we just noticed a major screw up here. This body here has to be set up for a slide rail system. Good thing we only have 1 cross member tack welded, so we're gonna have to cut the tacks off of that, run a shim inside there, shim it out for the distance of the rails that we're gonna put on. No big deal, but we almost had a major big deal, right? Good thing we didn't have 27 cross members put on there. So we're gonna go ahead and shove a shim in there. Jared's got the engine about ready to go back in, and he's just gonna bring the telehandler in here in a bit of a minute and get this setting in there. It's got a new oil pan gasket all ready to go here, and the oil pan's all cleaned out now. This oil pan is part of the main frame of the tractor, and in one of them previous videos there, somebody mentioned that you know, this is a stupid design. Well, it's actually a pretty good design thinking about it. You know, you don't have extra parts there, and what is the difference whether the oil pan is part of the tractor frame or not? This is a pretty stout oil pan, if you ask me. So we'll be setting that in there momentarily, but we need to grind that weld off, huh? Where was I when we had to start thinking about that one? Alright, cross members removed. We just need to take the clamps off this one side, and we're going to gap it about 1 3/8 inches. But before we do that, we're going to help Jared get this engine set in there. It is completely ready to go back into the tractor. We're just trying to get our chains set up right. We have a limited amount of room in here to get the telehandler in or the top. So we're gonna try and get this in there without hitting the ceiling and without damaging the oil pump. So let's see how we do here. Well, we got this setting in there now. He'll go ahead and hook up the rest of this. And maybe by tomorrow, we can start this old girl up. So we've got the rest of the A-team over here, Alex and Andrew. And if we didn't make a screw up on that body, we had one cross member put down, we didn't have it gapped right. So now we've got to gap it, and we're going to have 3 of these guys welding out of here as soon as I get sheet metal down. But we got to get that to that point. Well, they ended up getting the big chisel plow out of here, and we now have the proper spacing that we need between the sills here for it to accommodate the slide rails. This is going to be a slide rail style body, so we have to have it wide enough to go over the angle iron sills that are setting on the truck frame. So what we did is we shoved 1.5 inch square tube, so we've got it gapped 1.5 inches. That'll give us an extra 1/4 inch on each side, being that the angle irons that we're using for the slide rail is 1/2 inch thick. So we're not going to tell anybody about this. We've got our mistake all covered up now. No one's going to know nothing. So I am entrusting everybody to kind of be tight-lipped on this. We don't need to tell anybody we've got any mistakes going on here. So Jared's working at his engine. That went in nice without bumping anything. It's real nice. It's got 4 dowel pins that you can set that onto, and I got a little nervous there as he was putting it in because we were running out of ceiling height. The ideal shop would have an overhead crane in it, and then it would have like 22-foot ceilings so that you could get over the top of something like that with your highest lifting machine and not have to worry about scraping the ceiling. So you got that one. That next cross member set, I'll remove these clamps and I'll move them up ahead, and then we'll keep going here. Then once we get the 4 cross members in there and get the jig rolled out of here, we can put the rub rail on the outside, and then we can set all these other cross members in, and we won't have to gap anything. We won't have to measure anything. Rather, we can just set it in on the line. So we're talking too much, but we've got half of the other crew here is working, moving right along. So let's keep after it here. Well, we have one more cross member to put on, but we need to pull the jig forward. So Andrew's going to go ahead and pull that with the telehandler. Go ahead. He's got to move it ahead 6 or 8 feet. Yeah, hold up, hold up. Get a bar in there and just walk it. You got to walk the, here, get this bar here. Stick it in from the back side. Back side. Go right underneath this cross member. Here, go like this. Ah. All right, tell him to go ahead. If he was down, that would help. Go. Yeah, yeah, okay. Whoa, we're riding. Woo! Better move my foot, huh? All right, a little farther. Yep, that's good right there. Now we'll put, actually he's got to go a little farther. Tell him to go a little farther. Yep, right there. All right, whoa, get that chain unhooked, get the door down. Don't want to lose any more heat here. We'll get this clamp together here. Well, I think this is where we're going to sign off with this video, folks. I didn't get as much done in this segment as I thought I would get done, but Alex and Andrew, they were helping us for a little while, and then it got to be too much to have 4 kicking around while we were getting this set up. But we've got to put the rest of the cross members in, get the sheet metal on there, and we'll have Andrew, Sarah, and Alex welding the sheet metal to the cross members. We've got both chisel plows taken care of as far as the spring packs go. We do have, I think there's 4 of them that they have yet to get off to the machine shop. Now, 3 to get over to the machine shop yet. And those are units there that were easier to leave off because the bolts are, the frame is in the way to get the bolts out. So in the next video, when we come at you, we'll be doing obviously the rest of this floor. And Jared's thinking he's going to have this 8320 going by tomorrow. As you see, we put the engine in earlier. I helped Jared set that in there, and then he went back to working on it. Oh, let's see. He's got the fan on there. The exhaust manifold intake, that was on there before he put the engine in. He's just got to assemble everything here, get the cooling package on it. I don't know if he put oil in it yet or not. Doesn't look like it. So he's obviously got to get everything hooked back up. And then what he wants to do is he wants to leave the hood off of it because they're it's kind of a pain to get that on there. And he wants to put it on the manure pump and just let her run. Make sure we don't have any more problems with it before we get the hood on there. So he's done some work to the interior here, put a radio in it, cleaned up the cab headliner. He ended up pulling the floor mat out too, and he painted the floorboards. They were all rusted out. It wasn't rusted out, but he put some real nice paint on there, some Rust-Oleum paint, and kind of fixing it up a little bit as he goes here. Being that it's got a new hood and everything, some of the other features to it need to be gone through, some other new lights and whatever. So that's gonna do it, folks. I want to thank you for watching, and we'll catch you at the next video. Right, Sarah? Yeah. Kind of a boring day today, just doing a bunch of setup, but oh well. Got more steel coming tomorrow, so I didn't get as much done as I wanted to get done today. I wanted to have this rolled over and painted by tomorrow morning, and then when we flip it back upright, steel gets here, we can set all the sheet metal for the sides on top of the deck, and then once we have all the posts up, we haven't got to carry anything into the body. It's already in there. We can just stand the sheets up on the way around. So the problem with this one, I had to order 8-foot sheets to do the sides, and it's going to have 7-foot high sidewalls. So we have to cut 12 or 13 inches off of the sheet metal before we go ahead and put it in here. So we got to kind of pull every sheet off the stack, cut it, slide it on the bed, and go at it that way. So take it easy, folks. I want to thank you for watching once again, and we'll catch you at the next one.